Red ants, the hidden empire. Beneath your feet, hidden under leaves, roots, and soil, an entire civilization is alive. Millions of tiny red ants march through dark tunnels every single day. They build, hunt, protect, and survive together. To us, they seem almost invisible. But in their world, every second is a battle for survival. Every great empire begins with a single leader. For red ants, that leader is the queen. After the first heavy rains of the season, something extraordinary happens. Thousands of winged ants leave their nests at the same time. They rise into the air in a breathtaking event called the nuptial flight. For a few brief moments, the sky fills with future kings and queens. The males have only one purpose. They mate with the young queens. Once their mission is complete, their lives quickly come to an end. For the newly fertilized queen, however, the journey is only beginning. She lands alone on the forest floor. Every shadow hides danger. Birds search from above. Spiders wait in silence. Lizards patrol the ground. One mistake could end her life before her kingdom even exists. She carefully breaks off her wings. She will never fly again. From this moment forward, she belongs to the earth. Carrying the future of an entire colony inside her body, the queen begins searching for the perfect place to disappear. She finally finds a small crack beneath the roots of an old tree. Using her powerful jaws and legs, she digs deeper into the soft soil. Grain by grain, she creates a tiny underground chamber. It is small, dark, and completely isolated from the outside world. When the chamber is finished, she seals the entrance behind her. Now she is completely alone. Days turn into weeks. She cannot leave to search for food. Instead, she survives on the energy stored inside her own body. Every movement is carefully measured. Every drop of energy matters. Despite the darkness and hunger, the queen never gives up. Then, one quiet day, she lays her very first eggs. Tiny white eggs rest safely beneath her body. She gently cleans them, protects them, and keeps them warm. These fragile eggs may look insignificant now, but one day they will become workers, soldiers, and builders. They will create roads, defend their home, and feed generations yet to come. The future of an entire empire now depends on these tiny lives. Outside the chamber, the forest never stops. Rain falls across the ground. Hungry predators roam only inches away. The world above has no idea that deep below the soil, a new civilization has just begun. Soon, the eggs will hatch, and with them, the first chapter of an incredible empire will truly begin. Days pass in complete darkness. Deep inside the small chamber, the queen waits patiently. She never abandons her eggs. Every moment is spent cleaning them, turning them gently, and protecting them from mold and bacteria. Without her constant care, none of them would survive. At last, the eggs begin to hatch. Tiny, pale larvae emerge into the world. They are completely helpless. They cannot walk, they cannot hunt, they cannot even feed themselves. Everything depends on the queen. Although she is weak from weeks without food, she continues caring for every larva. She feeds them using nutrients stored inside her own body. Every sacrifice she makes increases their chance of survival. The larvae grow a little larger each day. They shed their skin several times as they develop. Soon, they begin spinning delicate cocoons around themselves. Inside these protective cocoons, an incredible transformation is taking place. The future workers of the colony are slowly forming. Then, one by one, the cocoons begin to open. The very first worker ants emerge. They are much smaller than the queen, but they represent something far more important: hope. Without wasting a single second, the young workers begin cleaning the chamber. They remove tiny pieces of dirt, organize the nursery, and carefully inspect every egg and larva. For the first time since founding the colony, the queen is no longer alone. She is surrounded by daughters that will dedicate their entire lives to protecting her. Now the workers face their first dangerous mission. They leave the safety of the nest and step into the enormous world above. To humans, it is only a forest floor. To a tiny red ant, it is an endless wilderness filled with deadly enemies. Every leaf becomes a giant wall. Every raindrop is like a crashing wave. Every spiderweb is a deadly trap. The workers move cautiously, using their antennae to explore every surface. As they walk, they release invisible chemical trails called pheromones. These scent trails become invisible roads that guide every ant safely back home. Suddenly, one worker discovers the body of a small dead insect. It is far too heavy for one ant to carry. Instead of struggling alone, she rushes back toward the nest, leaving behind a stronger pheromone trail. Within minutes, dozens of workers follow the invisible path. Without speaking, without a leader, every ant knows exactly what to do. Together, they lift the insect. Step by step, they carry it across the forest floor, climbing over stones, roots, and fallen leaves. Their strength does not come from size. It comes from perfect teamwork. Back inside the nest, the food is shared with the queen, the growing larvae, and every worker. The colony has survived its first great challenge, but this is only the beginning. As the days pass, more eggs hatch. More workers are born. The small underground chamber is becoming crowded. The tiny family is growing into a real colony. And soon, the peaceful days will come to an end. Because nearby, another red ant colony has already discovered their scent. The colony is no longer just a small family. With every passing day, new workers emerge, expanding the underground nest into a maze of chambers and tunnels. Some ants care for the young. Others clean the nest. The oldest workers leave each morning to search for food. Every ant has a job. Every job matters. There are no arguments, no confusion, no wasted effort. Each individual follows the chemical signals of the colony, creating one of nature's most organized societies. As the population grows, the workers discover richer food sources, drops of sweet nectar, fallen seeds, dead insects, even the remains of animals much larger than themselves. A single ant can never carry such heavy food alone, but together, hundreds of tiny workers become an unstoppable force. They grip the prize with their jaws and move as one living machine, adjusting every step to avoid rocks, roots, and obstacles. Their teamwork allows them to transport food many times heavier than their own bodies. Deep inside the nest, the queen continues laying eggs without rest. She no longer hunts or leaves the colony. Her only purpose is to produce the next generation. Around her, nurses carefully clean every egg and feed the growing larvae. The colony now depends on perfect cooperation. Soon, another group begins to appear. These ants are larger. Their jaws are stronger. Their bodies are built for one purpose: defense. The first soldier ants have arrived. They patrol the entrances to the nest, constantly scanning for danger. Every vibration in the ground, every unfamiliar scent, every movement in the leaves is carefully investigated. Then, one afternoon, a returning worker carries an alarming message. She has detected the scent of another red ant colony. It is close, very close. The soldiers immediately become alert. Workers carrying food are redirected back into the nest. The nursery chambers are sealed. The queen is moved deeper underground where she will be safest. Outside, the air grows tense. Across the forest floor, another army appears. Hundreds of rival red ants march in perfect formation, following their own pheromone trail toward the colony. Neither side can afford to retreat. Food is limited. Territory is precious. The two armies stop only inches apart. Their antennae touch as they identify one another. For a brief second, everything is silent. Then, the first attack begins. Soldiers rush forward, locking their powerful jaws onto their enemies. Workers reinforce the front lines, dragging wounded ants away while fresh defenders take their place. The peaceful forest floor transforms into a battlefield. Leaves shake. Soil scatters. Tiny warriors fight with incredible determination. Some ants sacrifice themselves so others can survive. Inside the nest, The queen remains protected, continuing to lay eggs as if the future of the colony depends on every single one. Because it does. After a fierce struggle, the rival colony slowly begins to retreat. The defenders have protected their home, but victory comes at a price. Many workers never return. The survivors carefully carry the injured and the fallen back to the nest. For the colony, every life has value. As night falls, the tunnels grow quiet once again. The battle is over. But nature never stays peaceful for long. Far above the nest, dark storm clouds begin gathering. The greatest challenge the colony has ever faced is about to arrive. The air suddenly becomes heavy. The forest grows strangely quiet. Even the birds stop singing. The ants sense something long before the first drop of rain ever falls. Workers begin moving faster through the tunnels. Soldiers guard every entrance. Nurses gather the eggs and larvae into the deepest chambers of the nest. Then, the storm arrives. Massive raindrops crash into the forest floor like falling rocks. Within minutes, water begins flowing through the soil. Small tunnels collapse. Entire chambers start to flood. For the tiny colony, it is no longer just rain. It is a natural disaster. Workers race through the nest carrying eggs between their jaws. Others carefully lift the soft white larvae. Every second matters. The queen remains calm. She is surrounded by loyal workers that refuse to abandon her. Water continues rising. One tunnel after another disappears beneath the muddy current. The colony has only one chance: escape. The workers break open an emergency exit and begin climbing toward the surface. Outside, the peaceful forest has transformed into a raging river. Twigs float past like giant logs. Leaves spin through the water. The current is strong enough to sweep away anything in its path. Still, the ants do not panic. Each worker grabs onto another. Their tiny legs lock together. Their bodies connect into a living chain. Within moments, hundreds of ants form a floating raft. The queen is carefully placed in the center. The eggs and larvae are surrounded on every side. No individual tries to save itself first. The entire colony survives only by protecting one another. The living raft begins drifting across the floodwater. Rain continues pouring from the sky. The current pushes them around rocks and fallen branches. Suddenly, a hungry fish lunges toward the floating colony. The raft breaks apart for a moment. Several workers throw themselves toward the predator, distracting it just long enough for the queen to remain safe. Many of those brave workers disappear beneath the water. They will never return. Their sacrifice gives the colony another chance to live. Hours later, the rain finally begins to slow. The floodwater becomes calmer. The floating colony reaches a small patch of dry ground beside the roots of another tree. Exhausted but alive, the workers slowly separate. The queen steps onto solid earth once again. Around her, the survivors immediately begin counting the eggs, checking the larvae, and caring for the injured. They have lost many sisters, but they have not lost hope. Without resting, the workers begin digging once more. Grain by grain, tunnel by tunnel. A new home begins to rise from the wet soil. Nature destroyed their kingdom in a single afternoon. But the ants refuse to surrender. They simply begin again, because survival is not about avoiding disaster, it is about rebuilding after every disaster. And as the sun finally breaks through the clouds, the forest reveals one more challenge waiting in the shadows. A giant predator has been watching the colony's every move. Morning returns to the forest. Warm sunlight reaches the ground once again. The storm is finally over, but the colony has no time to celebrate. Every tunnel must be rebuilt. Every chamber must be repaired. Every egg must be protected. The workers begin immediately. Some dig fresh tunnels through the soft soil. Others carry tiny grains of sand out of the nest, one piece at a time. Nurses carefully move the larvae into clean, dry chambers. Within a few days, the colony begins to look alive again. Food returns. The queen lays more eggs. Life moves forward. Then, without warning, the ground begins to shake. A large lizard approaches the nest, searching for an easy meal. Its long tongue flicks through the air, tasting the scent of hundreds of ants. The workers freeze for only a moment. Then the alarm spreads through the colony. Soldier ants rush to the entrance. Workers carrying eggs retreat underground. The queen is surrounded by her loyal guards. The lizard strikes. Its tongue sweeps across the ground, catching several workers in an instant. But the attack only awakens the colony. Hundreds of ants charge toward the giant predator. They climb over its legs. They grip its scales with powerful jaws. Some bite. Others spray defensive chemicals to drive the predator away. The lizard shakes violently, trying to throw them off. Still, the ants refuse to let go. They fight not because they are fearless, but because everything they love is behind them. After several painful moments, the exhausted lizard finally retreats into the forest. The colony has defended its home once again. There are losses. There are empty places where brave workers once stood. Yet life inside the nest never stops. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. The queen continues laying thousands of eggs. The nursery fills with new larvae. Young workers replace those who were lost. The colony grows larger than ever before. Soon, a new generation of winged ants begins to appear. Some are young queens. Others are males preparing for their only flight. When the rainy season returns, they leave the nest and rise into the sky. Each carries the possibility of building another hidden empire somewhere beyond the forest. And so the story begins again. The colony that started with a single queen has become thousands of perfectly organized lives, each one connected by purpose, sacrifice, and teamwork. No ant is strong enough to survive alone, but together they build cities beneath our feet, defeat enemies far larger than themselves, survive floods, predators, and endless danger, and create one of the greatest civilizations in the natural world. The next time you see a line of tiny red ants crossing the ground, remember, you are not looking at random insects. You are witnessing millions of years of evolution, a society built on discipline, a kingdom built on unity, and one of nature's greatest survivors. Their world is small, but their story is truly extraordinary. The end.